What up, what up, what up? Welcome back to Lockdown Universe, home of the bizarre, peculiar, and unheard of stories of UFO legend and paranormal lore. Welcome back, welcome back. Happy to be back. Hopefully you guys are doing awesome and taking care of yourselves. Welcome back. Today I am sporting the Iron Man hoodie. I want to show it off in its full flex. Of course I have these 6-packs that the Iron Man suit has. Of course I have that. Plus the everything else it's got. Anyway, I love this thing. Got it for like cheap stuff at Goodwill. Man, you can't go wrong there. Hey, guess what? Boeing may just be off and off these whistleblowers. They might just be, hey, taking them out and sinking them with the fishes with some concrete boots, except they're using some more sophisticated means. So we have 2 whistleblowers for Boeing that have come out in the past couple months, and both have been dead within 2 months. Is that a coincidence? I don't know. The first guy, John Barnett, was found dead, and there's an article on the BBC March 11th that states a former Boeing employee known for raising concerns about the firm's production has been found dead in the U.S. He worked for Boeing for more than 30 years until he retired in 2017, and days before his death, he had been giving evidence in a whistleblower lawsuit against the company. Seems a little peculiar. Today, we get an article that says, what? Oh yeah, the most recent whistleblower is now also dead. That's right. 2 guys within 2 months. So the new whistleblower died of MRSA, apparently. Now, it's pretty rare, but his name is Joshua Dean, okay? I worked in hospitals. People don't really die from MRSA. They suffer from MRSA. They don't really die a whole bunch from MRSA. So this Joshua Dean was the second whistleblower to come out against Boeing and say that they've had all kinds of issues ranging from bulkhead screw problems to tail issues to John Barnett's coming out and talking about all of the 787 Dreamliners, the state-of-the-art airliner used on long-haul routes, had issues, serious problems with oxygen systems, which could mean that 1 in 4 breathing masks would not work in an emergency. That's a big problem. That's a shutdown problem. They would shut shit down big time and lose tons of money. They don't want these guys to come out. Another whistleblower was told, and he told in front of Congress that he was told by Boeing to shut the hell up and not talk about it. That's what these big industries do. They tell you to shut the hell up, mind your business, your P's and Q's, if you want to keep your job, your pension, and your life in order. So let's go back to this article about John, and then we'll go back to Dean, who's more recent. So John had worked in in the U.S. plane giants company, Boeing, for decades. Now, Boeing, keep in mind, is a contractor. They contract for a lot of places, including Department of Defense. So if they're having whistleblowers come out, guess who could easily quiet these guys? The secret government or the regular government? So in 2019, Barnett told the BBC, British Broadcast Company, or channel, whatever you want to call it, that under pressure, workers had been deliberately fitting substandard parts to aircraft on the production line. If you listened to yesterday's podcast where I talked about Range 4 Charlie, in that Charles Hall stated that there were guys in the military that were not going out to these weather stations, not jotting down the appropriate numbers. They were just skipping it because they were scared of a haunted horse. That's it. Haunted horse. And they were just jotting down random numbers. This could happen anywhere, folks. That's why we have these carnival rides just exploding with people flying off of them to their death. And these doors also were having serious problems. The emergency exits were not working in an emergency as well. He said soon after he started working in the South Carolina plant that he had become concerned that the push to get new aircraft built meant that the assembly process was rushed and safety was compromised, something the company had denied. Now, did you guys see, was it not Ethereum, Elysium? with Matt Damon when he's working in these like dingy factories and building robots, and he's like poor as hell, and he's told by his supervisor to go into this broken machine that shoots out radiation to pull out a board because it's stuck, it's jammed. When he gets in there, he pulls the board out, he gets stuck in there, and he gets radiated, and he's told he's going to die in 5 days. That's what happens here, is that they don't give a shit. They want you to get shit done and get out and shut your mouth and keep working. That's the conditions we're still in 2023. Forget your safety, forget our safety, forget your lives. Fuck all that. We don't care about that. It's the same thing with the government and their exclusion of the truth with aliens. Fuck your life, fuck your information. We're not going to give it to you. Live your life and leave us alone and don't talk about it. Shut up. So John also claimed that tests on emergency oxygen systems due to be fitted for the 787 showed a failure rate of 25%. 1 in 4 would fail. Boeing denied these assertions, denied them, of course, right? And a 2017 review by a U.S. regulator did uphold some of Barnett's concerns. It established that the location of at least 53 non-conforming parts in the factory were unknown. That is a lot of parts, man. That's like having 53 extra Lego parts in your Lego set. Wah, wah. That's going to be a problem. You ain't going to be able to put that together, or something's not going to work right, and your little flower set's going to be all mush. So when he retired, he embarked on a long running legal battle against the company. He accused it of denigrating his character, hampering his career, and because of these issues that he pointed out, he had a tough time, trying to live, trying to keep his character and from being assassinated, basically. At the time of his death, Barnett had been in Charleston for legal interviews linked to that case. At the time of his death, do you know what he died from? A self-inflicted gunshot wound. This dude is going to the ends of the earth to get this information out, and he dies from a self-inflicted gunshot wound. Doesn't seem like the type of character to do that. Not to me, anyway. So, last week, which would have been in March, he gave a formal deposition in which he was questioned by Boeing's lawyers before being cross-examined by his own counsel. He had been due to undergo further questioning on Saturday, and when he did not appear, inquiries were made at his hotel. He was subsequently found dead in his truck. See, they were trying to kill me with hiccups. I had to go get a fruit juice box, so I had to stop the hiccups. They know I got acid reflux. They're just bombarding me with frequencies just to take me out. They know what my problems are. So he was subsequently found dead in his truck in a hotel car park. His lawyer described the death as tragic, and Boeing said, "We are saddened by Mr. Barnett's passing, and our thoughts are with his friends and family." Okay, most people are gonna leave a note, especially in his circumstance where he's been pushing for years to get this out. Now, what could have caused him to push him over the edge? Could he have been threatened by their lawyers? Could he have been threatened by someone hired by Boeing? Could he have been blackmailed and said that, hey, if you keep talking about this, we're going to let this out? A lot of times they hire these private investigation companies to gather information on you, get the dirt on you, and then push you the other way, push you away, and drop all these cases, drop all these suits, and drop any civil litigation you got against them. So the preliminary report from the UNTSB, or USNTSB, suggested that 4 key bolts that were designed to hold the door securely in place were not fitted. And last week, the FAA said that a 6-week audit of the company found multiple instances where the company allegedly failed to comply with manufacturing quality control requirements. Now, another whistleblower, Mr. Sam Selepour, said Wednesday, now this article is from BBC as well, in April 17th, not that long ago, a couple weeks ago, said that his boss berated him in a 40-minute call and that his tire was punctured by a nail. Dude, the these guys are out for blood. What is going on? He spoke at a hearing in the congressional investigation into the safety of the manufacturing giant. Boeing said it was trying to improve its safety culture. This is really concerning, man. Now, Mr. Salapore had worked for Boeing for 17 years, raised concerns about alleged manufacturing shortcuts repeatedly over 3 years starting in 2020. So it sounds like a lot of these problems happened during the 2020 period. A lot of COVID stuff going on, a lot of cut corners maybe. But he said, I was ignored. I was told not to create delays. I was given hell. I went through hell. That's what he said. He said, it's not a safety culture when you get threatened for bringing issues. And that's what a lot of these guys say. They say they were being told to shut the hell up and do your job. This story is serious, even shocking. There are mounting serious allegations that Boeing has a broken safety culture and a set of practices that are unacceptable. The problem with Boeing is that it's not just like American. They don't just sell to American Airlines and Spirit Airlines and TED, and United. They sell to everybody. And not just everybody, but they sell the United States military and other militaries. So you have all these Boeings out there, whether it's one or all of them, regardless, if there's a safety issue being ignored in one, chances are there's probably safety issues being ignored in a lot of them. And what's interesting is that Charles Hall, who I talked about yesterday, walking with the tall whites and engaging with them, the tall whites stated that they are using not using, but they're contracted with the United States government to create some of these smaller tic-tac-like craft, and they're using Boeing as a contractor. Well, guess what? If they're ignoring all these safety features for humans, what do you think they're doing for the aliens? So it just makes you wonder, who's really in control and who's really taking care of who. It sounds like our safety isn't in Boeing's hands, and if I was a betting man, I'd bet against Boeing's stock going down, 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 okay? So we put together safety and quality above everything else, blah, 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 blah. It's all this self-serving, saving face kind of bullshit. But what happened when the Alaskan Airlines flight found bolts that were missing, and when the piece blew off and the company faced criminal investigations and lawsuits? Boeing was accused of failing to cooperate fully with the inquiry. Even the FBI got involved. People don't want to take actions that might be required. It's just an awful reality, and the FAA is looking into it now. But see, this hasn't even gotten to our most recent guy. Okay, so the first guy shot himself, quote unquote. There's a lot of assassinations that take place that are quote unquote self-inflicted gunshot wounds that are impossible to do. Like they have the gun, saying that the gun was 20 feet away. Impossible for your arm to be that long, and that's how it hit his head. Not like holding it to your head and shooting it. And obviously, suicide is a very serious topic. If you're suffering with any suicidal thoughts, please contact 988. That's the suicide hotline. But this doesn't make sense, man. You got 3 guys now, and the 3 guys have all these mysterious things starting to happen to them. 1 guy survives, 2 guys die. Okay. So let's get on to the third guy. Okay, we got Joshua Dean. He revealed major flaws in the 737 MAX planes. Dean's aunt, Carol Parsons, said he died after 2 weeks in critical condition. That he fell ill. He went to the hospital as he was having trouble breathing more than 2 weeks ago. This dude is 45 years old. You see a picture of him. This dude is like the picture of health, man. He's way more in shape than I am, and there's no reason for this guy to kick the bucket whatsoever. Not at all. Let's pull up Joshua Dean here, and we'll show him to you. Now, what's interesting is he's the second whistleblower from specifically Kansas that's died in the last 2 months. Check this guy out, dude. Okay, see this guy? That guy's the picture of health. Not an ounce of fat on this dude. Looks like he works out. Takes care of himself. He's in good shape. Okay? I wish I was in that good a shape. Now it says that he had concerns about the 737 MAX plane. He was a former quality control auditor from Boeing for a Boeing supplier, Spirit Aerosystems in Wichita, Kansas. He worked on the Boeing 737 and filed a former whistleblower complaint. So when you do that, you're covered underneath whistleblower protections. So they can't retaliate against you monetarily, criminally. They can't fire you. They can't reduce your pay. They can't reduce your hours. All that stuff. So he stated that in 2023, he filed it over improper manufacturing practices that he witnessed. He had been fired months before, allegedly in retaliation for bringing up safety concerns with Spirit management. His death comes 2 months after Boeing whistleblower John Barrett, who shot himself, was found dead of an apparent suicide a day after testifying. A day after testifying. A day after testifying. Okay? Keep that in your brain. So, Mr. Joshua died in a hospital Tuesday morning after his family said his health deteriorated suddenly with MRSA. I used to work in hospitals. MRSA's everywhere. You work in a hospital, you got MRSA. You don't die from MRSA as a healthy person, okay? It just doesn't happen. You got to have a comorbid issue. You got to be morbidly obese. You got to have some sort of real bad disease accompanying the MRSA to really take you out, okay? He tested positive for influenza B and a MRSA staph infection and later developed pneumonia. So a lot of times what happens is when the government wants to take you out, if you're out and about grocery shopping, you're out and about going to a party, you're out at the club, which somebody who's 45 probably isn't, but if you're out and about at the grocery store, they can have these secret covert dudes with these secret covert air guns, and all they got to do is bump into you. When they bump into you, the concoction goes into you, and it might be 2 weeks before you notice the symptoms. That's how long it can take, because they don't want, the longer the time span is between you and that person touching each other or engaging, or even in the same area, the less likelihood they're going to get caught. So they have no idea where this guy came from. As his condition worsened, he got put on an ECMO machine, which is what they do for the end of life type people, especially with COVID and stuff like that. His lung functions and his heart functions just fell apart. And he died, dude. He died. And it's really sad. His hands and his feet turned black. They hoped that he would go to heaven, and it was brutal and it was heartbreaking. And this guy, all he was trying to do was to get the information out, to keep people safe. But in his heroic efforts to save people from their deaths, potentially, he was killed and put to his own death. Whether it was stress, whether it was someone coming after him, or whether it was bad luck, something seems off. I don't feel as though these two are just coincidences. It can't be. MRSA and the flu at the same time, and a staph infection. I've only ever seen somebody get 3 really bad infections at the same time once in my life. And I worked in hospitals for a good chunk of my life. So, what is going on here? What we have to keep in mind is the FAA tries to do its best to investigate these things, but there's a lot of internal capability to hide things. For example, John McCallahan, who was overseeing, I believe it was United back in the 80s, 90s, had documentation of a UFO craft. Had it in the radar, had it in the printouts, had a stack of papers this big. CIA and the Men in Black come into the office. They come and take all his shit. And he's like, well, I guess We got to get it over. This is a big guy, John, okay? He's the director of the FAA. These guys come in and take all of this stuff. He made copies, and he brought it to the Disclosure Project in 2001, 2002. So if you look up the first Disclosure Project press conference, you'll see him. He's in it. He's one of the very first guys, and he'll talk about it. So the FAA can do only so much, but then these government entities, they'll come in and do what they want to do, and a lot of things can be hidden. Even John hid it from the government. So if one guy can hide a stack of papers with proof of an alien ship on radar, these guys can hide all kinds of stuff about their craft and potentially hurting somebody. See, the problem is that these guys, they don't want to pay out big money, right? They don't want to pay out big money. If an airbag goes bad, I had a car where it got recalled because the airbag was shooting out metal shards when it would come out. It was killing people instead of saving people. So these metal shard airbags had to be replaced. And when they were, it cost them a whole shit ton of money. So that's what they're doing here. So Boeing doesn't want to be underneath the gun or underneath the, inquisition about this. They start getting asked questions that they don't want to answer or they don't want to provide the answers to. It's going to be a problem for them. So am I saying it's Boeing's fault? Maybe. Am I saying that big corporations try to hide things? 100% of the time. Am I saying Boeing's hiding something? We don't really know, but we do know that they were warned by these gentlemen and others, and it seems as though they were told to shut up and be quiet about it. And if they weren't, well, it seems like they met their demise one way or the other. So keep that in mind. When you're coming out as a whistleblower, you think you're safe, maybe you go into witness protection or something. I don't know, man, but you got to protect yourself in more ways than just writing up a whistleblower complaint and having those protections, because you might need to go into witness protection in another country to get away from these guys, or even more. So, anywho, please, guys, take care of yourselves. Stay safe. Everybody wants to be a hero. Everybody wants to save the world. Everyone wants to take care of everybody. Everybody wants to blow the whistle on something that they feel isn't unjust and unright. And everybody should feel like they are able to. But in this day and age, might makes right, and it's always been that way. Going back to the time of Alexander the Great, to the 300, to, Genghis Khan, to corporate America, might makes right. And those who have the money typically are going to be able to overcome any obstacles and any individuals that are giving them a problem. So please take care of yourselves. Take care of your physical health, your spiritual health, your emotional health. Follow through on your hobbies and your goals and your dreams. And as always, continue to question the universe around you, as these guys did. Just take care of yourselves. I don't want to see anybody end up hurt, or to the point where they're in serious trouble. All right, guys, take care, and Lockdown Universe out. Peace. Go like, follow, share, subscribe. Thank you. Lockdown Universe out. Peace.